Hello everyone, thank you for joining me in another video in my postpartum preparation series. This is actually going to be my last video in the series. I'm currently at 35 weeks in this pregnancy, which is really exciting because we're getting closer to the end. And I have a few things that I need to focus my little bit of energy that I have on. So I want to really spend the time and the energy that I have towards making sure that my store can stay open and my products can be available to you while I am on maternity leave. And I'm also putting together a vaginal steam guidebook. And so I'm hoping to have that done for you guys before I go on maternity leave as well. So I'm kind of just trying to make sure that I'm using my energy as I can in the best way that I can. So this is going to be my last video in the postpartum prep series. You'll also have the opportunity to sign up for my postpartum online course. So that is a course where you can learn about many more details than what I've been speaking about in this series of videos. And so all of that is just combined. So we cover the different things that I've been sharing with you guys, but we go deeper into a lot of other topics as well in the course. So click on the link in my bio to sign up for that if you need some extra support in preparing for your postpartum recovery. But today I want to talk about support. I really want to talk about that because I think it's very, very, very important. And I think that the last time I had my first child, basically. So the last time I was pregnant, I didn't really know what I would need to prepare, basically. And I spoke to you guys about that before, but I didn't really understand the amount of support that I would really need. So this time around, when I found out that I was pregnant, I wrote a list of the different things that that I would need, basically, the different types of support that I would need. And I began saving up for that as well. So because a huge part of being able to have support sometimes is that you just have to hire people. And of course, we also need to be able to try to have support and communicate what we need from people in our community and from people who are close to us, like our friends and our family. But sometimes we also have to kind of outsource that a little bit too. So if you're in the beginning of your pregnancy and if you are able to start maybe saving up a little bit for different things, like for example, maybe somebody to help with cleaning the house, maybe somebody to help with cooking, maybe you could save up or even put on your baby registry some toys or some projects or some crafts for other children that you already have. And so some of those things were on my mind when I first found out that I was pregnant. And so I've been trying to do my best to have a little bit of a budget set aside to use towards some of this type of support. And so another thing that I think is really important is that if you know what it is that you need help with, so for example, like caring for the house, food, that's such a huge one, laundry, whatever things in your life need to be done while you're resting, it's important to try to figure out who can help you with those things. And I personally think that the best way is to sit down, write a list of all the things that you'll need help with, and to figure out who could help you, who could potentially help you with those things, and to talk to them about that and to plan for that before you get close to actually giving birth. Because there might be somebody in your life who is totally open to like coming to your home and doing a ton of laundry for you. But then there might also be somebody in your life who's not really into that and who would prefer to just cook and bring you some food. And so it's important to sort of figure out who's available to help me, who would be willing to help me, who might I need to pay to help me, and sort of try and figure that out. So I would recommend writing all of that down. I wrote my list so many times. I wrote out my budget so many times, and I think that it's just so important for us to try to do whatever we can to prepare, again, and all of this is like in preparation, so that once we are on the other side of, like after giving birth, we don't have to try to figure out like, oh, who's gonna do this, who's gonna do that. And of course there might be some things like that you have to sort of sift through, but as much as you possibly can, it will feel so nice to try to have as much of that kind of organized as possible. Another thing I wanted to talk about is like, if there's somebody in your home who is going to be there to help you, it's really important to kind of think about some more of like the intimate sort of type things, like things about yourself. So of course there's a lot of like responsibilities and like who can help us with those responsibilities, but what do you also need as a person, as an individual? For me, I know that like in order for me to really relax, it's very, very important to me as a person for my environment to be clean. And I understand that, I obviously have another child, things get messy, stuff like that. So, there has to be that flexibility. But it is something that is just important to me. And while I understand that things won't always be clean, that is something that I know is very important to me and will take part in my ability to rest and heal. And so if my home is constantly a wreck, it will just honestly be very difficult for me to relax and recover in the way that I need to. And I know, I keep on mentioning it, I know that there will be times when our home will not be super spotless and clean and stuff like that. But I also know that that's something that's important to me. So how can I communicate that to the people who are there to help me, like my husband, for example? Knowing that about myself, like knowing that I struggle to really fully relax if everything around me is just kind of like a ruckus, then I need to be able to communicate that and kind of highlight that is a priority for me. And so, I'm having I'm planning to write out a list. So that's something that I'm going to be doing soon for my husband, of things that maybe like really, really bother me, like visually, like what am I seeing in my environment that he wouldn't mind helping me with, but he would need me to communicate that to him, basically. And so that's one thing for me, is like cleanliness. Another thing that I know will be very important to me is to have food like all the time. Food and drinks to stay hydrated, and like for recovering, but also for producing milk to be able to feed the baby. And I know that for me personally, I really, really struggle with maintaining blood sugar. And if I'm not eating like small bits of things throughout the day, I end up feeling very weak and very drained very, very quickly. And so it's important for me to have like nuts or dates or different times where I'm actually having a meal. And so I need to make sure that I'm communicating that to my husband as well, or to whoever is in my home, like if it's my mom or my siblings or my dad. How can I make sure that I'm communicating the needs that I have, so that I can receive that support? And I know that for a lot of people, having such detailed support might not be accessible to you, and that I understand that can be very, very difficult. But I do want to talk about this, and I do want to share what I am doing, because I feel like a lot of times we might actually have the support that we need, but it's that we need to communicate that to the people around us who are willing to help us. And then another thing that I'm going to have on my list for my husband is I feel like, especially when there's a lot of changes in life, when there's a lot of just like a lot going on, or a lot for me to adapt to or to keep up with, or even after such a big event like giving birth and becoming a mother again, I feel like I easily become ungrounded. And I know that's true for myself, but I know that generally that can be true for a lot of postpartum women because of what your body has just gone through. It's very, very easy to have this this imbalance within us where we feel very ungrounded, and anxiety and worries and just kind of like a scattered fight or flight feeling, survival mode type feeling sort of settles in more than any types of like grounded feelings. And I know that for me personally, something that really helps with that is basic things like eye contact, like having somebody who will be like to actually pull my attention away from whatever is happening, whatever I'm trying to keep up with, and just to kind of like make eye contact, or even like a long hug. I know that that also helps me to feel grounded, and it helps me to kind of recenter rather than being like all scattered and frantic and stuff like that. Things like eye contact and touch and like hug, like a long hug, those types of things I know for me can be really grounding. And it's interesting because last time around I was really avoiding those things. Like I wouldn't really make eye contact. I wouldn't really settle into a good hug. I was just like on to the next thing. Like it was just like really, really hard to get myself to settle. And that was really difficult on my recovery as well. And so I know now that I might actually need somebody to be like, look, you need to have a hug and like for somebody to be there to actually stop me and give that to me so that I can actually settle in and feel more grounded and centered. So I know that that's something else that is very, very important to me. And I think that I'm trying my best to make sure that I am not I don't want to put a lot on one person or a lot on just my family. And so I'm trying my best to sort of scatter the different things that I know I need help with. But I also want to be very clear, and I also want to try my best to communicate ahead of time what I need, because it can become a little bit difficult to be honest with ourselves and ask ourselves, like, what do I need, when we are already in the point of that postpartum time. It can be a little bit difficult to be like, what do I really need right now, and how do I communicate that honestly with the people around me? So I just think that having some time for reflection and thinking about this stuff before giving birth can be really, really helpful. But I hope that this was helpful to you, and I hope that you will share it with the women in your life who may be pregnant, as well as newly postpartum mothers. I think that this information can be really helpful in general, but I do want to highlight that it's so important for us to do whatever we can before we give birth, so that the majority of support and support that we need for our healing is sort of set up already before we get to that postpartum time. All right, guys, take good care. Bye-bye.